Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Show and Tell. I'm the show, he's the tell. As many of you can already see, today is going to be a little bit different from what we're used to doing. Today, we're actually not going to be reviewing a comic book. For those of you just tuning in with us, Bob and I normally buy indie comics from comic books all over the US, and we review whatever they send us. But today, however, we have the distinguished honor of interviewing one of the writers and creators of three comics. The titles of the comics are Blowtorch, Pinpoint, and C.H.E.S.S. We will be reviewing those comics in upcoming episodes, so be sure to stay tuned. But his name is Alfred Paige. Now, we're going to be going into the depths of Alfred's background, his work, and his creative process. And Bob and I are super excited to have him. This is our first show where we have a guest.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I know. This is going to be so fun. So, without further ado, welcome to our show, Alfred Paige.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Good, man.
Yeah, no, we're so super excited to have you here, man. I mean, we've so far read three of your works, and we're just super excited, man. We're stoked. So it's an honor to have you. So, I mean, we wanted to basically start with some of your background. Like, where are you from?
New York. New York.
New York.
Yeah. So, New York, born and raised, and then, I'm in Florida now, but I'm from New York.
Yeah. Very cool. What part of, that's Manhattan, right?
Queens.
Queens, okay.
Nice.
Very cool. Nice. So, growing up in Queens, how would you say that growing up in this environment? Because I would say it seems to have affected the way you write some of your stories, especially like with Pinpoint and his background. How would you say it affected your writing?
Pinpoint's actually off a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Really?
That attitude that Pinpoint has, he had. That's an accurate attitude. That a personality, I would say, accurate personality of how he was. And when we was younger, and I started getting into comic books, X-Men and stuff like that. And I started writing. I would tell him, yo, come to my backyard, because he's always aggressive, you're always in a fight, always. So I said, like, yo, leave these people alone. Let's go in my backyard. And I just have him act out when I'm writing. So he used to be in my backyard, flipping and running around and jumping and stuff like that. And he found it entertaining. It's like, and we just sit there, I used to try to write. And that's how Pinpoint came up.
Nice.
That's crazy. Yeah, I never would have guessed that.
Like how, where you first started, having the idea to be in a comic, or what was your first? So that was your first inspiration to write, or?
Yeah, I mean, I just enjoy comic books. That you could create environments in the comic book. You could create any type of environment, and of course, at the time, team books was the structure. Outside Avengers, X-Men, Alpha Flight, and then the birth of Image. In the birth of Image, that there's a structure to the team book. So I want to break that structure with the powers and stuff like that. And and I came up with chess. I came up with chess, playing a game of chess with my brother, and we started talking about strategics and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I can't play for nothing, but he could beat me at one pawn. He just knows how to move around the chess table and the energy it gets to put into a chess game. And we used to go out to the park. We used to take the train all out to the city and play the older gentlemen. They used to be out there playing like really, really hard, and he used to play them. And when he loses, he used to study it. You know what I mean? So that's where the whole idea of chess came from. Like, it's such a strategic game, and that's how the idea of the comic book came from.
That's really cool, man.
That's more in depth than I thought. Yeah.
So then I guess that leaves them to ask. So what inspired Blowtorch?
Just making characters up. I wanted the opposite. So I wanted the team to have certain personalities. So Heart is based off my aunt, who has the background that Heart has, a strategic background. And the people I made up, Footpath, Airborne is off my love of Matt Murdock.
Oh yeah.
There used to be a TV show called A-Team.
A-Team, yeah.
Yeah.
He was my favorite character.
Pilot actor. Yeah, so the influence between A-Team and G-Force, I wanted a character like Airborne because I wanted a character like Tiny and Murdoch. So, which is just a pilot it's just a person who flies the jet, and he's but he's funny. He's always complaining, but he's there. He's the pilot, and he's like, I'm the pilot. I should be the pilot all the time. And then when he has to go out on a mission, they're like, he complains. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wanted that character. And then I wanted the love connection. So I had Footpath and Blowtorch, which is the love connection of the team. So yeah, and I went a total opposite from Pinpoint. Like Blowtorch is the idea behind Blowtorch that he's the perfect soldier. His origin was that everything is perfect for him. Comes from a family unit. He's a football star in high school. Went to the U.S. He became a ranger. He's like the perfect soldier. Everything to him was like at face value. He's the big handsome guy, face value. Like everything that came easy to him. And then once his face got scarred, they put him in a dark place. Now he wears the mask, and that history that he had, he runs from. So I wanted to give him some depth on why he's wearing the mask and how he started out. But he's still the perfect soldier. Like everything he was, he still is. He just doesn't show his face. But for him, for others, it might not be as much of a big deal because he's still just as good as a soldier, just as good as a calculating person on missions and reliability. But for him, he hides behind the mask. So you would see that in the relationship with Footpath as that develops.
Very cool. Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you about that relationship with Footpath, because I like how you mentioned that he's supposed to be kind of the opposite of Pinpoint, which I think you nailed, because Bob and I were actually talking about that when we went over Pinpoint, how we're excited to see that one story where they're going to be together because we think they're going to balance each other out so well.
Yeah, I wrote that one. I wrote that one for people. If you, I mean, Pinpoint came out already, and the first Blowtorch came out already, which hints to that relationship and who he was. I'll get you a copy of that too. But the first series of Pinpoint, Blowtorch came out, and you get that. So people that has a relationship with those characters already, when you read the passage, it's just a fun comic book. It's like, oh, now it's like the odd couple find the alien invasion, and it's a comic book that you just enjoy for the fun of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So.
Right.
Well, they're definitely enjoyable. Especially, our favorite so far is Blowtorch. I know you said that you were inspired by X-Men and Avengers and stuff like that. You can tell from C.H.E.S.S, because that's the feel that I was getting as I was reading it, and I got the same kind of feel from Pinpoint, like the your average Marvel kind of thing going on, but you had a different thing going on with Blowtorch that had this ground level, gritty, just real close to heart story, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but you took it in a different direction than you did with Pinpoint and C.H.E.S.S. And I think you said something about wanting to be Patrick Swayze-esque, Roadhouse type feel. And I wanted to let you know you nailed that, man. I'm telling you, that's the feel I got from it. And Christian agreed. Yeah, you nailed it, man. It was good. I enjoyed the entire book, front to end, every aspect of it, the art, the flow of the art, the flow of the dialogue, the character building. Khan was my favorite, man. I love Khan, man. Yeah.
You love who?
Conroy.
Conroy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Conroy. I heard you compare him to Negan, which is
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's, I didn't think about it before, but I guess that would be accurate.
Well, I didn't compare. I don't want to compare him to anybody, but I just got that feel of this character that's out of control, yet seems to have a certain amount of control. I mean, within himself, you know, and his actions and attitudes. So it just got me that kind of feel for it. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't need a bat. You know, he was perfectly fine the way he was. You know.
Yeah, I definitely want to come with somebody. Not that to be reused, but just somebody that, you know, you could feel the adversary in the story. You could feel like, oh, this guy's in danger. You could feel like, you know, without the like chess, you would need. I mean, every comic book has its section of enemies. You know what I mean? It was X-Men, you got the Sentinels. It was Avengers, you got Galactus. You know, so to even out the energy of the threat. You know, and I wanted Conroy, even though it's a gritty storyline, to have the same effect in the storyline. So
Definitely worked, man. It had the he, like I said in the review, he's the kind of guy that you need that kind of guy to be a protagonist or a villain. You know what I mean? Because he has to fill every room he walks in. You know, he can't like he's on the outside in the countryside and taking up every bit of that space. You know what I mean? So that's how big this character is in this. Just how he comes across, his dialogue. I love the dialogue, man. I mean, especially that hamburger face thing. That was
yeah.
that was great, man. I love.
Actually, at first he's supposed to take his mask off in the original script, and I said, nah. I didn't want to take his mask off just yet because I might want to reveal that. I want to reveal that in a love story with Footpath.
Good choice.
But,
Good choice, because I was very happy with that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, yeah, no, I felt I agreed with Bob when he compared him to Negan, but you know, it's definitely not so much an aesthetic thing, but definitely just a personality vibe thing. I got the same vibe from Conroy that I did from Negan and The Walking Dead. You know, Pinpoint, you know, he also, you know, gave me vibes of another character. Again, not to compare, but just so that the readers understand what kind of vibe we're getting from these characters. Deadshot, you know. And Chess to me was like basically Avengers meets Suicide Squad, you know, like like kind of marrying the two, which to me was cool. You know, it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, it was definitely. I would rather
do
Chess and Pinpoint than any Marvel stuff that's come out in the last 20 years. You know, but to be honest, compare it. Or go ahead.
No, I'm saying I appreciate that. That's big. You know, thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of
But
course, man.
comparing Blowtorch to Chess and Pinpoint, Blowtorch just blows them out of the water, man. I mean, for me, it was a perfect first opening to any chapter. I really enjoyed it, man. It really was good, man.
You know, when I started writing Blowtorch, the first issue came out, the very first one before this one. It was supposed to have been a one shot, and then when people read it, when they read it, they loved it.
Yeah.
So I did two more issues, and then when I switched everything over to Page One comic books, I started Blowtorch over the new number one, which is Bad Road number one. But there's 3 issues that came out before that.
Oh, really? Huh.
Oh man! Oh, see, now I definitely want to read those.
I'm gonna get my hands on those.
So I'm probably gonna get those too. I got them here, and physical. I got the physical copies here.
Nice.
But yeah. So you know, it started out as something like I wanted to do a one shot for each one of the characters. You know, I did Pinpoint. Pinpoint ended up being 3 issues. That got picked up by a company called Big Dog Inc. back in 2009, and that came out through Diamond and through that. So it was good. People enjoy it. People love that character, Pinpoint. They just love that character. And I want to eventually do a one shot for each one of the characters on the team. So I was bouncing back and forth. I'm going to do Footpath or Rowan, as you call her, or Blowtorch. But then I did the Blowtorch one shot, and that blew up. Everybody loved it. And then that came out through Diamond as well, with Second Sight Publishing. So when I came back to page one, the energy of Blowtorch is still there. And I was watching Roadhouse and Walking Tall. And I was just watching these movies. It's just in town movies.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do something like this. I want to do something that's
In town.
different.
That's what I was looking for, man. In town kind of.
In town movie, like I ain't want to do a Fast and Furious. I do that in chess. You know what I mean, or a GI Joe, or something of a bigger nature, flying and jumping and all that stuff. I just wanted to do a gritty story, in town gritty story, and that's how Bad Roads came up.
Right. Christian, have you ever seen Walking Tall?
Characters from
Okay, I don't think I've ever seen Walking Tall.
Dude, you gotta watch Walking Tall, man.
Yeah, Walking Tall. I was watching Walking. Yeah, do you know Walking Tall, Bob?
I do. Christian's never seen it.
Yeah, so like when we see him like smashing over the pool table and the pool stick and stuff, I was like, I want to do an in town. I want to do an in town bad guy, good guy story. That's it. Just an in town bad guy, good guy story. And that's how. And then the Bad Roads came up, and I happen to have an incredible partner in writing, which is Alex DeGrucci, who we
are great.
Does a lot of research.
Grudgy, man.
Does a lot of research. If you read C.H.E.S.S came out. That first issue of C.H.E.S S came out years ago. But in the research of that, when we were researching the things in Japan, like the weapons trade, one of the things we researched was the helmet. That's on the young lady, Yami.
Yeah.
And that when we researched that helmet, it was actually in experiment stages. It's like, they got a helmet that could do this. And this is great if you put on the right person. So yeah, said let's put on a crazy 10-year-old girl.
Right. So that thing is real. They actually have that thing. That's amazing, man.
It's in
nice
Stranger
place.
Things. If you look in Stranger Things, it eventually came out in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
No, I mean they actually started using it in like Stranger Things, stuff like that. But now it's a real thing. But it's like, can you imagine? And so you try to make up like a lack of powers, or you try to make up criminals. I mean, all powers has been used. It's not original power could use.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like it's only can make it in an original way.
So I mean, I guess then what you're talking about now, it kind of brings us then to our next question is, how did you first set foot into the industry? How did that process go for you? And what challenges did you face along the way?
When I first stepped into the industry, Image is the only game in town. So it's constantly submitting to Image, and it's just trying. Every rejection makes you just keep working at it.
Right.
So that's it. I just kept going back and forth. It turned into a habit that me and my friends is outside doing. Until you meet somebody who could draw. Now you taking your script and the activities you do in the backyard, and you got 4 friends or 5 friends. 2 could draw. I'm writing, he's writing, and now everybody get the different comic books and stuff like that. And that's how it started out. And then we went to a New York Comic Con, a convention, a New York convention, and we started meeting people and stuff like that. And I met like early Billy Tushy, who had C.H.E.S.S. I know how you call that comic book. But I sat down with Billy Tushy, I sat down with Jim Lee, I sat down with these people, and I was like, so I want to get into this comic book game. And that's how I kind of started.
Wow, very cool.
Were you submitting to Image in the beginning?
Oh yeah. Image is the place to be.
Yeah. What were you
Image is
submitting to
the
them?
before now, like now, it's the spectrum of indie comic books is all over the place. But back then, Image is the only game in town, or a Dark Horse or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, that's the only game in town.
I think Bob's
I
asking what. I think Bob was asking, so like, what works were you submitting to Image at the time when you first started?
What was I submitting?
Yeah.
C.H.E.S.S. I've always been writing C.H.E.S.S.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's the first story of C.H.E.S.S. The story that you read is like the third story of C.H.E.S.S. But the very first one I wrote, and I was submitting that to C.H.E.S.S. Yeah. I mean, I submitted that to Image.
So if I understand correctly, you said you were submitting, and every time you got rejected, you would like go back and kind of fix the story.
Go back. I'll just go back and do something else. Go back and write it my way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I wrote this story called C.H.E.S.S. City of Heroes, which is with a friend of mine that had a superhero team. I just wanted the interaction of C.H.E.S.S. and the superhero team, and I wrote that years and years ago, and now it's going to be featured in Antarctic Press next year. So
Nice.
I'm looking
Very
forward to
cool,
that.
man. Congrats.
I mean, that's like that's coming back. I mean, that's coming back, and I'm like, I could let y'all read that too, but that's like an old school one. It's like a retro looking comic book. But
we love that.
That's to add the personalities of C.H.E.S.S. for the superheroes and stuff like that. So I always wanted to write it my way, and just write the way I see the characters.
Very cool. And so, what would you say were your biggest challenges when you were first getting into the industry?
Just acceptance. I mean, the any rejection letter just knock you down a peg. So I was trying to get, I was trying to get with Image. I would write them, and back then they had the forum online that you had to go to submit your stuff in the chat box, and I would talk to the guys at Image. I'm like, and they're like, "Oh, we like it, but if you just change this one thing, or if you change this one character, like they want to change Blowtorch design or something like that." And I'm like, "No, I don't want to change the designs. I just want to write them the way they are," and be like, "Oh, well, then good luck." Sometimes that's how it was. Like, good luck. I mean, if you change it to this, and you give this guy powers, or you make it that Pinpoint got heat vision on his eyes. We might be able to. Nah, that's not the character though. So you know what I mean. So
yeah, they would have ruined that. Yeah, that would have ruined it, man.
So at the time,
it definitely paid off that you stuck to your guns, because like Bob and I said, I mean, we enjoyed that comic, through and through. I mean, just everything about it was perfect. His character, the fact that he didn't have powers is something that like made it really big for me, because it's new, it's refreshing.
And that's what I wanted. Like I said back then, the influences of team structure, everything is team structure back then. So you had G-Force, you had Thundercats, you had Silverhawk, everything's team format. So I wanted to do my own team format, but I didn't want no powers. I just want everybody different. You know what I mean? That's why you don't have 5 people on the team that shoot guns. You don't have, you know what I mean? You don't have 5 fighter ninjas or whatever. Right. You got one that does one, and his personality. You got one that does one, and their personality, in a sense, become their powers. So just like you would read X-Men, and Wolverine for the claws, Cyclops for the eye beams, Jean Grey for their powers and stuff like that. But when you read X-Men and you get into the storyline, those things don't matter. All you know is that Jean Grey's with Cyclops, but Wolverine's in love with Jean Grey, and then you only thing you remember is the relationship and the teams.
Right.
So the powers become secondary. So I was like, if I could get C.H.E.S.S. characters out there, everybody's different, then their personalities be like their powers. Like, I like Blowtorch because he's a straight shooter. Oh, you see Blowtorch and Pinpoint together? That's funny. And those become the parts of the storyline outside the action.
Very cool.
Yeah, what makes a good superhero story can happen without superpower. So, like, say, Superman can't have none of his stories can happen without him having superpowers. So, a really
Yeah,
good
that's right. That's
story,
right.
they can have powers or not. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, if you were able to strip away Superman's powers and his story sucks, then that's why I'm not the biggest fan of Superman, to be honest with you. Christian loves Superman. That's his dude.
That's my guy, man. You know.
You know how we used to practice stories is to write stories of the characters that was out. Superman, Batman, X-Men. That's how I used to get to practice. And I wrote a Superman story, and how I would write Superman, which is put him in a place that his powers don't matter. Now he's on the planet. He's on the planet now that everybody got the same powers he got. So for him to be a hero, he had to go back to Batman and ask him to train him. And have Batman train him, because in the world of a bunch of Supermans, he can't fight. You know, there's no flying and
Oh, man.
Right.
all doing the same
Bob,
thing.
Take his power away.
You're gonna have to delete this whole part of the video, man. You're gonna cause an uproar in the comic community.
Let me tell you, Superman is the most powerful pussy in the universe, man. You take away his powers, and he gets his ass kicked every time. Somebody's always swooping in to save.
I never liked Superman because I never liked him because he's a character that could stop whatever's going on in the first minute instead of a story. He really could stop everything.
Yeah.
Right. He could I-beam an army. He could, he don't have to sit there and take the punishment. The punishment for the story, but he doesn't have to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just for at the last 2 pages to open his eyes are red. Now he's mad. Now he's beating up everybody. No, he could have done that in the first minute. It's no.
Right.
That's why they're always having to throw in these interdimensional creatures, like these big, huge, skyscraper tall beings for him to defeat. Because if you put him up against anybody else, there's just no story there.
Yeah,
but,
there's no story. It's no to make the story. You have to put him in a position that has something to do more than his powers.
Yeah,
believe it or not, my favorite Superman story isn't even technically a Superman story, because it I guess for legal reasons they couldn't make it an official Superman story. It was a movie called Brightburn, that basically explored what if Superman had instead decided to be evil, and that movie to me was awesome. It's my favorite.
I didn't see it, but I know the movie. And I think they just did the advertisement for part 2 or a new one.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So
very cool. So earlier we were talking about teams, and I'm glad that's something you brought up, because that's another thing we wanted to Bob and I wanted to ask you about is we noticed that each comic you did with a different team. Alex the Grutchy you kind of kept all the way through, but you changed artists, letterers, things like that. So how did you come across each team, and what was it like working with each team? How did it compare?
After a while, I was doing my scripts. Years ago, I came across Alfred Paige, I think on DeviantArt or something like that. One of those forums where he's like, he reviews, he looks over scripts, and he looked over one of my scripts, and he's like, he really liked it, and he liked the characters. He's like, I like this. I would tweak this. I would tweak that, and then from there, he just ended up being my partner on majority of the C.H.E.S.S storyline, the C.H.E.S.S and Blowtorch storylines. This one's that I wrote myself, like the Aliens Patches coming up. Pinpoint I wrote with writer Philip Morgan.
Yeah.
But the outline never changes from the characters from book to book. So it's like, just the where we put in them.
Right.
Okay, cool. And then what about the artists? How did you guys go about like picking your artists?
Just at that time everything was I think it's called DeviantArt. I'm not familiar with what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a website. Digital Webbing had a forum that had artists and colorists and inkers, and if you wanted to meet talent, that's where you go. And that's why I started meeting a lot of the artists I work with.
Interesting.
Digital Webbing. That was the website, Digital Webbing, that had a part in it that you can meet people. I'm going to come with 6 spears for Christian. I'm going to come with a bottle of water for Bob. When he's hurting my feelings.
Oh shit! Okay, we're gonna have to go back and redo those reviews, man. When he sees those, the next interview is gonna be a little more saucier, I'd say. Yeah, but
like, I see the one y'all did today. I say, oh please, I hope they don't do me like that. This guy's like, hey, the art was fine, but the story sucks. You know, and when Bob wrote me, Christian, when he wrote me, when he first wrote me over this review, he was like, "We are honest, so be prepared." I said, well, I like honesty because I feel like my comic book stands to anybody's honesty, right? And I'm listening to him. I said, Bob is horrible.
Oh yeah, you saw the treatment he gave Brandon Thomas, right?
And when I know some of these guys, I'm like, yo, Bob talking about you, man. Thank you for hurting my ego. A Monday morning writer. Monday morning writer. Is that what he said? A Monday morning writer.
Monday morning writer.
I gotta go back to a Blowtorch and change his line from "you got a face of an asshole" to "you got a face to somebody you should know who they're not messing with."
Oh, Bobby's calling you out, man.
The most honest, brutal reviews you're gonna get. The artwork is great, but the writer don't know how to write for shit. I say, hey, the artwork's great. The writer sucks. One today, the artwork is great. The writer sucks. Keep the. I would say keep the fun up in your show. The dynamic you have in your show. It will grow. You got a good Batman, Robin, or Starsky and Hutch, or however you want to categorize it. Cagney and Lacey, Laverne and Shirley. The dynamic show is good.
Thank you, man. No, we appreciate that. We'll definitely keep that going.
Awesome.
No, and I mean, if you can hop on a few episodes, man, like you got a vibrant personality too. So like it could be a lot of fun reviewing comics with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on the show just looking at, but I'm gonna say, and we got a special guest here, Alfred Paige. The whole time he's reading the review, I'm just gonna look at Bob. I'm just gonna be standing there like this, looking at Bob. Wait.
Well, if you notice how every show.
What are you doing? What are you doing, Paige? What are you doing? Why are you looking at him like that? I went for Bob to get a review.
Well, you notice how every show is the same, right? I give the breakdown of the comic and then like, all right, Bob, what do you got for us, man? Because you know.
What you got, Bob? You put me on the spot, bro. Have it there, Bob. You're gonna sit there. Me and Christian gonna talk. We're gonna say, Christian gonna say, well, I like to break down the writer, and he did this. And I'm gonna be like, I like the look. I can understand where you're trying to come from with this idea and concept, whatever. And we both gonna say, well, you know what time it is, people? It's time to ask Bob. And fuck this book, man.